Commentators, welcome to today's Grade 12 Life Sciences show. Today we have a revision lesson on evolution. We have selected highlights from lessons shown earlier in the term to help you revise this term's work. So please post your comments and your questions on our Facebook page or on Twitter @LearnExtra so we can help you with your revision. You can also download the show notes for today's lesson from learn.mindset.co.za or click on the link on our Facebook page. Now it's time to get on with today's lesson.
Good. The graph below shows changes in the height of horses over evolutionary time. Evolutionary time is not given in days and months and years, it is in millions of years. Right? So millions of years ago, and the height is given on the y-axis. Notice the heading, change in height of horses, one variable over evolutionary time. Time being the independent variable and change in the height being the dependent, right? Okay, so they're giving you all the different names of all these horses here over time. These would be obviously the first line of the horses. Why? Because it was longer ago. Don't be confused with this time scale here, because it's longer ago. Here it's 60 million years ago, older. And here it is younger. Alright? The first question says, distinguish between the terms evolution and biological evolution. We're not going to waste too much of time with the definition. We have done that earlier. We're talking about where something changes into a different, usually more complex form. Whereas biological evolution deals with changes in living organisms over time. How would scientists have made observations about the different heights of these horses? Let's see. Remember, okay, we're not going to give you the remember part. How scientists, they're going to know about this Hyracotherium?
Fossil records.
Good, excellent, Yusuf, well done. It's the first time he doesn't answer in my class, Luni. Fossil evidence, good. Alright, they would have studied from first because alright, we can't give that one because there's going to be something there later. Calculate the differences between the height of Equus and Mesochippus according to the available data. Available data is what's here. So we go to Equus, which is this one here. Chapang, what's the height?
160.
160. So keep that figure in your head. And Mesochippus here, Yusuf?
60.
60. So it's 160 minus 60, and the answer is 100 centimeters. Notice you must always show your working one, and two, you must give the units, even if they don't ask for the units, give the units. Good, that was not a very difficult question so far. We still with the same question. How would Lamarck have probably described the change of the heights of horses over time?
Could have been that.
Let's make it easy. What law would he have used?
The law of use.
Use and law of use. And then after that?
Acquired
inheritance of acquired characteristics. Good. So you got the idea in there. So let's go straight to it there. What he would have said is originally horses lived in dense forests. When they were in this dense forests, they didn't need to be tall. But over time, grasslands replaced these dense forests. The horses needed to run faster and further to get away from predators and at the same time cover greater distances. So what did the horses do? They stretched their legs and became taller. What law here?
The law of use.
Law of use. Always try to see how that law is in the example. Then you will understand this theory. Then this characteristic was then passed on to the offspring. What law, Yusuf?
Inheritance
of modified characteristics. Right? Now horses are taller. This is what Lamarck would have said about these guys. Explain why we cannot be sure that the evolutionary information displayed in this graph are absolutely correct. Why can't we say that it's 100% true?
Because what proof do they have that those were horses and not part of a different species? Maybe?
Yeah, but why can't we be 100%? They're telling us it's horses.
And we could have
Because
the findings.
No. That's why I wasn't saying this thing earlier. Because none of us, you, me, and our grandfathers, none of us were
Alive.
living at that time. These changes took place millions of years ago. So we can't verify this change. Nobody can. And at the same time, there's gaps in the fossil records, so we won't be able to clearly say that. Good. Let's move to the next question. Study the diagrams and answer the questions that follow. And one of you were asking something about analogous earlier, and I've explained that, but now we're looking at something else. Explain why the above are considered to be homologous structure. That one. What do we notice?
They have bones.
And therefore,
bones.
they're showing similarities, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are showing similarities, so they are similar in the structures arising from a common ancestor. How do scientists use the above example as evidence for evolution?
Because that structure was passed down through the generations.
Because of the similarities, good, because of the similarities, that all vertebrates share a common ancestor. This says that because they're all so similar in their design, these are all from different vertebrates. Therefore, the scientists are saying that all vertebrates share a common ancestor, hence proof of evolution taking place. Question 2. We're moving on to something else now. Study the diagrams A, B, and C below that show a population, how a population of beetles change over a long period of time. So they're giving you some beetles there, and then some more there, and then some more there. And here they're giving you time. By comparing diagrams A and B, state the characteristic of the beetles that have enabled their offspring to survive. In this case, what characteristic about the beetle enabled them to survive?
The color of the phenotype.
The color, right? Yeah. The color in this case would have been the thing, because there's nothing else that you can see are different. Name the evolutionary mechanism that is illustrated in these diagrams.
Natural selection.
Natural selection, excellent. Use the 3 diagrams above to explain the mechanism named in question 2.2. What did I tell you earlier? What must you use to answer this question?
Those words.
Those words that I put up on the screen earlier, right? So we need to use those words, but remember, learners, you have to contextualize it with, because the question is saying, what does it say? Use the 3 diagrams. So you have to use the diagrams. I'm going to open it up and then we'll discuss it together. So first of all, in the first diagram, we can see that there is variation among the different beetles. Why? Because they are different colors. Some are darker, some are lighter. In this particular thing, from the results, we will be able to say that the white or the light colored beetles have the desirable characteristics or are better, not adapted, but I would rather use the word better suited. Or they have camouflage, which is better for surviving, probably because the environment may have been lighter. So more of the white ones will survive. And if they can survive, then they will be able to reproduce. More of the black beetles died or eaten by the predators. Over generations, all beetles will be white or light colored. Now remember that natural selection doesn't mean that's permanent, because if the environment changes, then the reverse is also true. Then the white ones can die out and the black ones can resurface as well. Remember, because they have the gene for that color within themselves. Are we okay with that, guys?
Yes, sir.
Remember, because the question was a short question and only asked about this year, we didn't go into the phenotype and genotype and the rest of it, because there wasn't enough information in the question to tell you about the environment. Should they have told you that the color was different and so on and so on and so on, then you had to bring that in to say that the different environments or the environment favored this, and therefore the organisms became, or rather, the population moved in this direction, as we have shown here. All right? Any questions from you guys, by the way, on natural selection?
No, sir.
Are you sure? Are we happy? Let's just go one step back, because this is, for me, this is important. When you're answering natural selection, can you link these things to that? Look at what we've said. We said the variation was there. And the variation you must specify it, whether it's long and short, whether it is light and dark. Then you must also say that there was competition. We must it in our answer there. We must include that there's competition for the natural resources. And then we spoke about suitability. We said that the white ones were more suitable. And therefore they could reproduce. And if they could reproduce, they would pass the favorable gene to the offspring. This is known as natural selection. Okay? And this is what's going to happen there over subsequent generations. That's what's going to happen there. Are we all okay with that one? Manak, you okay?
Yes.
You sure, Manak? All right. Good. Refer to the diagrams below that show the distribution of fossils of Glossopteris and the present-day Glossopteris plants and answer the questions that follow. So they're giving you a map and they're showing you originally this is what was happening. And there's the distribution there. Then something happened here. And look at the distribution now. And further from there, we had this situation. And there, and there. That's where we're seeing this. Question says, between 500 and 300 million years ago, the Earth was one supercontinent as shown in the first diagram. What is the name of this supercontinent?
Yeah.
Aye. Not in the syllabus, eh?
Yeah.
But you have learnt it in grade 10. There's a big advert on that also. Pangaea. Which advert was it? Or some advert recently on TV. Pangaea there, okay? So Pangaea then separated into Eurasia, the north, and Gondwanaland, the south. And that's what they're talking about. This is a little bit of revision of your grade 10 work, guys. So don't stress if you didn't know that. You can go back to that and just read it up again. How do scientists explain? This is more important for us. How do scientists explain the present day distribution of Glossopteris plants? In other words, taking this into account, how do they explain that now? What principle of evidence of evolution would be used?
The continental drift.
Right, the continental drift will come back, but which, remember we listed some evidence just now. We said fossil evidence, we said modification by descent, we said biogeography, and we said something else, molecular and the rest of it. Which one?
Biogeography.
Biogeography, geography, isn't it? So we'll talk about distribution, and this thing is talking about distribution. So that's where this question fits in, okay? So keep that in mind there. So first of all, the fossils of the Glossopteris plants in similar biomes, indicate that they evolved from a common ancestor that lived on Pangaea, and as a result of continental drift or biogeography, they are present on other continents today. So in other words, originally they were all together. This is why we find them in different areas, because and the place where they are found, would be similar in terms of the characteristics of the environment. Why? Because originally they were together. And this, according to evolutionists, they say that proves that these organisms all had a common ancestor.
Okay guys, I hope you are enjoying this revision session. If you are struggling and need help, please post on the page or send your questions to the Learn Extra Help Desk. The links are on our Facebook page. But now it's time to take a very quick break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, guys. Doing revision is really important, so I hope you are enjoying this lesson. I'd love to chat to you on our Facebook page or on Twitter, so please let us know how you are doing. Enough of the chat, now it's time to get back to some more revision.
We're moving on. We stopped there by biogeography. We explained about these guys and what scientists say about them having common ancestors because they were together, etc. And now we're moving on to something else. So notice in our questions we've covered natural selection, we've covered a question on the evidence for evolution, And we've covered a bit of Lamarck and Darwin as well in our first question. And if you, the notes are not complete, guys, and the show is not complete without you answering the questions that are there to test yourself, the multiple choice section A type questions, because those ones are honing into the individual, and the development is such that it goes to every part of the curriculum for this part. So please make sure that you're answering those questions to enhance your knowledge. Let's look at this one now. This one here has the potential to be an essay as it stands. Not as it stands, if we just alter it a little bit. I'll explain now. Describe how each of the following contributes to genotypic variation within a species. Even if we took away genotypic, the question would not change. It'd still be variation. In other words, they're saying these three things here, how do they bring about differences in organisms? Now we could have easily left this out here. This whole thing, just left it out. And would have said, describe how different factors bring about genetic variation within a species. Then we could have made it out of 17 and 320 for your essay. Because at the moment, as we're standing, 10, 12 marks already we have here. So if we didn't say this, then you would have had to name them. And naming them would have got you at least 3 marks already. And we could have added marks here by mutation, another extra mark, etc., etc. And over time, you would have got quickly 17 marks plus 3 for the essay. So 3 for the synthesis. Remember that. So this is an extended piece of writing, very similar to an essay. Our guys are just going to help me very quickly before we go to the answer. In meiosis, what are the 2 things that bring about variation? 2 processes, okay. Crossing over, good, and
metaphase when
the process, not the phase. I want to know what happens in that metaphase that you're talking about.
When
what's the word? 2 words.
The chromatids lie
chromosomes. Yeah. What about them lying?
They're on
equator.
No.
Yeah, but what are we going to help him, Stepan? What's the word that we're looking for?
When you metaphase to the
random
assortment.
Random. Remember, when they're asking you this question, the thing is not that the chromosomes are lying at the equator. That doesn't bring about a variation. But it's the way that they are lying on the equator which brings about the variation. And this is the random assortment. What do we mean by this? We mean, and you want to tell me, what do we mean by random assortment?
Like the characters, they are like sorted randomly.
It's scattered
Yeah.
randomly. Okay? What does random mean? You're using the same word. This is going to help you. Anyway,
yeah.
In other words, there's no guarantee, guys. There's no guarantee which homologue is going to be where. So when they split, there's no guarantee which sperm is going to get which one of the 2 homologous chromosomes. This brings about variety. Okay? Good? So that's the one there. Mutation, what is a mutation, by the way?
When I can
Don't
give
go and just give me what is a mutation.
During meiosis when
Not meiosis, just tell me what's a mutation.
When
guys.
chromosome number 29 fails
Don't give me about chromosomes.
when
Tell
there's
me
a
what's a
problem with the
mutation.
gene.
Huh?
When there's a fault.
What
with
day
the
is
gene.
it today, guys?
It's
Can you tell me it's August 13th?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
What day is it?
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, right. Now we got that right now. What is a mutation?
A fault.
A fault
Or better word than fault? Simple word. Come on, guys. Before I come there and clap you guys both.
disorder.
No.
Disorder.
Mutation.
What's going on?
See? Weak these guys, And you said they come from my class and all this. These are the ones that are sleeping
No,
there.
they're not weak.
I'm
Just
looking for the word
forgot.
change, guys.
Oh,
Mutation
change.
is any change, either in the gene or the chromosome. Keep it simple. Also, mindset is this, the idea, what's coming out here, whether the answers are right or wrong, that's not important here. The interaction is important because the same things must be going through your mind. So this is why we're having learners here, so that we can interact with them. We're all not going to get right answers all the time, otherwise what's the sense? I can give them all the answers before the show and they give all the right answers. What are you going to learn from that? You won't learn anything from that. We need to know that there are wrong answers and why are the wrong answers wrong and why are the correct answers correct. And in this particular case, keep it simple. We just want to know that the mutation is any change in the gene, that's a gene mutation, or in the chromosome, that's a chromosomal mutation or a chromosomal aberration. Good. sexual reproduction, I'm not even going to ask them what sexual reproduction because they may, Luli, embarrass themselves on national TV. I should ask them, what sexual reproduction, guys?
When
You must talk loud now,
males
don't
and
be shy.
females, when males and females interact, like
Interact,
interact,
Interact, you mean?
like what can I say? I don't know how to put it. You know.
This is dangerous, Luli. I'm worried about these boys. Right, next, guys, just remember,
Production.
whoever accepts a proposal from these two guys, you first bring them to me for tuition. I will help them out to help you out. Let's leave it at that. Okay, right, we're going to come back to that one there. Now let's explain how these things bring about differences. They've helped us already in some of the stuff, so they've passed. Not bad, they have passed, Shane. Let's not take that away from them. So we start with meiosis. And during meiosis, we are not just saying something. One of them has told us, yes, Tsepang has told us about crossing over, and that takes place during prophase 1. Remember, by mentioning prophase 1, you are getting a mark. So you're going to say during prophase 1, crossing over takes place. So that's the phase, and that's the process. Crossing over is a process, and it occurs in a phase called prophase in meiosis 1, which is a stage, by the way, okay? And what happens during that time? Genetic material is exchanged, or recombination occurs, whatever you want to say there, which ensures that the gametes formed are different from each other. Can you see how many marks you can get just in this first part, guys? Okay? The second one, during metaphase 1 mainly, the homologous chromosomes arrange themselves randomly along the equator, which ensures that the gamete forms will be different from each other because there's no guarantee which chromosome will go to which sperm or egg. And mutation, sudden or random changes occur in the genetic code, and this brings about variation. If we wanted to say further, they didn't ask for it, but if we wanted to, they could ask you for the different types of mutation also. Remember that. Then, in terms of sexual reproduction, first of all, I would start by saying sexual reproduction involves two individuals, because there's an exchange of gametes between these two organisms. Already, because there's gametes from the one and gametes from the other, that means the offspring will be different because you are bringing differences together. That's one. But with that still, we produce a large number of gametes, and these gametes are different because they are produced by meiosis. And there's no guarantee which particular gamete will fuse with which particular gamete. This in itself brings about, there's a random fusion of gametes. I gave it to you a little bit easier English there. Therefore, the offspring produced will be genetically different. Those are the things that we needed to talk about in that particular question. Remember, this you've done under sexual reproduction anyway. This you've done under DNA, under meiosis, and under genetics. You've learned about mutations. And the first one, you've learned, the first two rather, these two you've learned under meiosis. When you learned meiosis, you had to say during prophase 1, this is what happens. And during metaphase 1, this is what happens. So it's not new work, this. It's part of evolution. It can be tested in evolution, but it's not new work.
I think it's time for a break now, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, guys. Doing revision is really important, so I hope you are enjoying this lesson. I'd love to chat to you on our Facebook page or on Twitter, so please let us know how you are doing. Enough of the chat, now it's time to get back to some more revision.
So we're giving a diagram here with two species A and B, and they're showing the upper jaw and then the skull from, in other words, from the top there, the bottom view though, and then the foot of these two organisms. The first one says, name the order to which both these organisms belong. The order. Now you need to think back on what we said just now when we classified. Start animalia. Then we went to mammalia. Order, and I've been saying this word often.
Homo.
Not order is not Homo. Order is primates, right? So they got one down already, eh? Just note that,
Watching them.
Loni, please, because you know we're going to sort them out later. With regards to the drawings above, tabulate two
Differences.
what? You see, you deliberately missing out the word.
Visible.
Visible differences. Okay, let's see. Between what, but they're talking about? The upper jaws, okay? So here's the upper jaw. Two visible differences, what can you see?
Larger canines.
Right, larger canines where? There or there?
B.
In B, okay? Good. What else? The second difference?
Large spaces between the teeth.
There's spaces between teeth here and no spaces there. Another one more you can give me?
There can be as a more U-shaped.
More U-shaped here, U-shape, and here a gentle curve.
Yes.
Good. So those are the three differences that we are looking for there. Excellent, guys. So you redeemed yourself from the last question, okay? We're not going to go into all the details. You've already given that. And also you can add that one is more protruding and one is less protruding,
Yes.
because it is shown there. That's protruding, right? Okay. Name one visible difference between the feet of organisms A and B. And you can really only see one difference there, and it's very easy.
Opposable thumb.
Not opposable thumb, just the feet, remember.
Opposable toe.
The opposable toe, yes. In this case here, and what we'll say to make it easy, in this one here, in the humans, the toes are all together, yeah?
Yes.
And here, the big toe is away,
Standing out.
apart from the other four toes. Good?
Yes.
In A, the big toe is close to the other four smaller toes. In B, the big toe is apart or opposable from the other four. Don't be confused with opposable thumb though, right? It's opposable toe in this case. In A, the heel bone, we didn't see that. Sorry, I forgot to show you that. In A, the heel bone is relatively large. Can you see that? Here it's small. By the way, how does that help?
To
The
stand
large heel.
upright. To stand
To
upright.
stand upright. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Good. Which organism, A or B, is more likely to be bipedal? That's a giveaway now from what you...
A.
A is definitely bipedal because we can see why. All right, let's see if they ask us. Let's see if they ask us. Let's see if they ask us that. And we're still there. Give a reason. Why is A bipedal from what you can see?
Because of the large heel bone.
Before that,
Because of the foramen.
because of the position of the foramen magnum in a more forward position. Here, not that way, sorry. What am I doing? In a more forward position, here it is in a backward position. So the foramen magnum is in a more forward position. That means the vertebral column will come in vertically. So that will make us, Lori, upright. Whereas if the foramen magnum was at the back, the vertebral column will come in that way, so it's horizontal and puts us quadrupedal. That is the story there. We're still going to ask you one more question just now. I'm hoping I've asked it here. Yes, good. Explain how bipedalism could benefit the organism. So you've identified the organism as being A. Now how is this an advantage?
The organism
Just for
can
you
see
OBE
further.
kids, benefit means an advantage. Eh?
Yes.
Just now, we don't want to confuse anybody. Yes, tell me.
The organism can see further.
Right. First of all, the organism gets a better, wider vision of the environment. Another one.
It gives an advantage from the hands. It can carry more.
Good. So the hands are free. If the organism is standing, you and I, we're standing, our hands are free. I can hold this pen, for example. If I was on my on fours, how would I hold this pen? Okay. And for mothers, they can carry their babies, or we can carry our shopping, etc., etc., etc. One more.
One more.
So two were, one was dealing with vision, one was dealing with carrying stuff. The third one,
Yes.
You use less
Temperature control.
energy.
You use less energy.
Oh, the UV rays.
yeah,
don't hit you more because yeah, they
In other
only
words, you can cool the body faster because your entire body is now exposed. So you can lose heat from here, you can lose heat from the back, from the sides, everywhere. So you lose heat so that your temperature you don't overheat. Okay? At the same time, you can also gain heat when you need it, when it's colder. Okay? And in some organisms, not in humans, in some organisms, the males can display their sex organs when they stand upright, so that can help in courtship behavior. Humans, I don't know of humans that try that trick. Okay. Provide 5 characteristics that organisms belonging to groups A and B, this must come out there, probably share. What am I asking for? They say provide 5 characters that organisms belonging to groups A and B probably share. What are we asking for?
the similarities.
The similarities. Good. So at least you know that, and we've discussed it already. So again, it's the same answer, isn't it?
Yes.
We've discussed this in the summary, so we're not going to waste time going through each of those answers. Now learners, what I want you to concentrate on, when you're answering a question on similarities or differences, follow the following pattern. Start with one part of the body and move downwards. For example, if you start with the head, do anything that you have to do on the head first, and then move down to the arms, and then to the rest of the body. For example, if we're looking at this one here, I would start here somewhere. I would start there. Notice I started with the brain. So I say start the larger brain compared to body mass. That's number 1. Then I talk about the parts that are enlarged, that's the eyes and the hands. Then I talk about the part that is smaller, that is the olfactory part. Then I go to the hands. If I didn't want to do that, I could have skipped and I would have waited the eyes. Let's look at the eyes because we looked at the others already. Stereoscopic vision, meaning if I stand on top of this table where these children are sitting, then I know that the floor is not in the same line. Otherwise it's a problem because I can walk straight and fall down and get hurt badly. But I know that that's high and that's low. Stereoscopic vision, to be able to determine depth. Right? Eyes with cones and rods. Right? So color vision as well. Fewer offspring and upright posture. That's the question there. This is going on all the time. Right. Explain 2 ways in which the information in this table here, the information supports the out of Africa hypothesis. By the way, just note how the questions are going. The first question dealt with similarities. The second question dealt with differences. Okay? And the next one here again dealt with similarities again. Now, so what I'm trying to do is guide you in terms of what you need to know in the section. Similarities. First of all, where's our place? We must classify ourselves. Then, how are we different to other primates? And then, how are we similar to primates? Now, we're looking at more the out of Africa hypothesis. Now, here they give you a whole table, yeah? And they give you all these different species, and they tell you that in Eastern Africa, Southern Africa, South Africa, Europe, Asia, Europe, China, Europe, Western Asia, worldwide. These are all the different organisms. And here, when did they exist? This one says 2,8 to 3,4 million years ago. So in other words, these are the oldest moving towards the more recent ones. Are you clear with it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right. Explain 2 ways in which this information here,
Yes.
supports the out of Africa hypothesis.
The oldest species is from Africa.
Good. The first one says that the oldest fossil was found in Africa. And what else? What else can you see? The one you said is right.
The most recent one are worldwide, showing that they begin in Africa and now they separate.
Excellent. I didn't even see that one. That's also excellent. What Compe is telling us that the more recent ones are more concentrated in the rest of the world, meaning that they developed from the African ones. Excellent. I didn't see that one. But more importantly than that one, not more importantly, another reason that I would have given is most of the fossils are found in Africa. Good?
Yes.
So the oldest fossils of human ancestors were only found in Africa. The most fossils of human ancestors were found in Africa. And we can add that one that we were discussing as well. Describe how the analysis of mitochondrial DNA is used to support the out of Africa hypothesis. I will explain that one there. I don't want to put you under pressure. Maybe you won't come again with me next time. First of all, we must understand that mitochondrial DNA is passed on from mother to child. Because when fertilization takes place, when we did reproduction, you remember, when we did reproduction, when fertilization takes place, the sperm nucleus fuses with the egg cell nucleus. And the zygote then develops from the egg cell. So the mitochondria that you and I have, all of us here in this room, Luni, yourself included, we got from our mothers. Because the father only gives the nucleus, not the whole cell. So the mitochondria is found in the mother's egg cell. Okay, so that's the first point. Now what have scientists found? They followed and traced one mutation found in humans. And they traced that, not just in humans, but in the mitochondrial DNA of humans. And they traced that back to a female in Africa known as African Eve. And therefore, the mutations on the mitochondrial DNA were traced to an ancestral female that existed in Africa, and that supports, that says that humans developed in Africa. What are we doing by this? When we say evidence, we mean you saying that humans developed in Africa, prove it. So you must give proof. That's what we mean by this. How would Darwin have explained why only Homo sapiens and none of the other species in this table, all these things here, they're giving all this Homo neanderthalenus and all that, but they're saying, how come now we don't have all those guys, they're not surviving, it's only humans. How would Darwin explain that? I want to know from you, what theory would he have explained?
Natural selection.
Natural selection. So he would have used natural selection. And give me some key words that you would use in your answer.
Many offspring.
Many offspring. Good. What else?
Variety.
Variety. Good.
Competition.
Competition. Good.
Survival.
Survival. Good. Reproduction. Yes. And then we'll say natural selection again. Those are our keywords. You do agree with that?
Yes.
Now let's see how we put that to explain this question. And remember, these words are not only for humans or anything else, it's for natural selection. So what are we saying? First of all, there was variety among the hominin species. Over time, the environment where we're living in changed. Species, obviously we can put here there was competition between the different species. Competition. Species that had more favorable characteristics to this changed environment, such as, now we're giving some of that because we must give the context, being able to move faster and being able to use stone tools and to use the environment to their benefit, outcompeted the other species. So there's your competition coming in there as well. They outcompeted the other species and survived. There's a survival coming there. And were able to reproduce, passing their favorable genes to their offspring. So, while species without these favorable characteristics, they died and eventually they would become extinct, as the frequency of their variant decreased over several generations. This last sentence simply means they became extinct because their variety decreased over several generations. Two paleontologists suggested different models for the human evolutionary tree. These models, the models they propose are shown below. So they've given us two models. Model one is telling us that from Afarensis we went to Africanus, Homo habilis, Homo ergaster, Heidelbergensis and all that. From there Homo neanderthalis and Homo sapiens, and from there Homo erectus. These guys here, the second guys of scientists, they're saying the same thing from there. But here, now watch their linear. Look at what happened there.
Yes.
And look what's happening here. They're saying from there to Africanus, to Homo habilis, ergaster, and from there, erectus, Heidelbergensis, and Neanderthalenus, and Homo sapiens. Okay?
Yes.
You're seeing that? State two similarities between the two models with regards to relationships between the different species. So we need this, you don't have to study. You have to look here. What are two similarities between these two models?
There's
The Homo sapiens and the Homo
Neanderthalensis, yeah?
branch from one thing, and then the Homo erectus is also separate, and then below the Homo erectus is also separate. The Homo.
Okay, let's just home into one of your answers, right? She says that Homo sapiens and Homo neanderthalensis both were branches of Heidelbergensis. There and here. Here's Heidelbergensis here, and here's Neanderthalensis and Homo sapiens. That was one. Yes? Okay, what else?
all of them are from a common ancestor, which is Australopithecus afarensis.
They all start with this afarensis character. So those are two similarities that we can see there. Good. Excellent, guys. I'm happy with that answer. So it's a common ancestor. They will take your answer first. Then Homo heidelbergensis evolved from Homo ergaster in both models, and it is a common ancestor to Homo sapiens and Homo neanderthalensis. Remember, when you write these things down, you must underline them because they are genetic names, scientific names. Good. Describe two ways in which the models are different now. Here's your first difference.
Yes.
There.
Homo habilis.
What happened here? Where did Homo habilis derive from who?
From a
From afarensis, isn't it?
Yes.
And here?
From
africanus. Okay, can you see what we are looking for? Here, ergaster also came from afarensis. Here, he came from
Homo
habilis. So all you are doing, learners, is that you are looking at this model and you are spotting differences. It's not something you had to learn. You didn't learn this in school. They're just telling you, look, these are two different scientists and this is what they are proposing, how the humans evolved. From there, you must be able to say, look, this guy is saying this, the other guy is saying something else. You agree?
Yes.
Don't get panicky when you see a question like that. That's all I'm saying. Right, there's the story there. We've said it. Homo habilis evolved directly from Australopithecus afarensis in the first model. In the second one, he evolved from africanus. And Homo erectus, again, also from afarensis, here from Homo ergaster. Here another one, Homo ergaster evolved also from afarensis, here from Homo habilis. You notice that the first one, there's a whole branch initially. And this one here is a total linear one to the next, to the next, to the next. Are we happy, guys?
Yes.
Good. Fossilized skeletons of Australopithecus sediba were discovered in the Malapa caves. When scientists analyzed the fossils, they discovered that they shared some characteristics with the genus Homo. Between which two species would Australopithecus sediba be placed in Model 2? They're saying that they share some characteristics with Homo sapiens. So between which two are they going to form here?
The Homo erectus.
Homo erectus and Homo sapiens.
Or Homo
There somewhere? Are you saying something in this area here? Will you agree in that area?
Yeah, I would
Yes.
say that area.
Somewhere in that area there? Good. In Model
Yes.
2 they said, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's see what we're saying there.
Australopithecus
Africanus and Homo
habilis.
habilis. Okay, let's go back. In this area here, okay? We're saying we're going to put it in that area there. Right? Let's see why. Between which species would they be put in Model 2? Let's go back there. They're saying that they're going to put them in here. Would you put them in there? Remember,
Yes.
they are Australopithecines. And from here, what we're getting?
Homo.
Homo.
Right? Because this is Australopithecus sediba,
Sediba.
but it's close to Homo sapiens. So you're going to put it in there, in this area, just before the Homo species started. Are we clear with it, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
I hope, learners, you saw that. Good. Next question. Comment on the trends in human development from Australopithecus to Homo sapiens. What are the trends the changes that have taken place as we move from Australopithecines to Homo sapiens?
Bipedalism.
Right, one would be bipedalism, from quadrupedal to bipedalism, and we discussed the significance of that already in the previous segment. What else?
The protruding of the jaw.
Right, is it becoming more protruding?
Less protruding.
It becomes less protruding. What about the slope?
Flat face.
We're moving towards a flatter face. What about the size of the brain?
Larger.
A larger
relative
brain.
to
Excellent,
bodies.
guys. I'm happy with that. Okay, so what's happening? One is that the foramen magnum is moving. Don't remember what we're saying, by the way. When we say moving, it doesn't mean that it's moving in the same organism. We're moving, if we're comparing these organisms, in the Australopithecines, the foramen magnum is in a more backward position. And in the Homo sapiens, it is in a more forward position. It's not in the same organism,
Yes.
in different organisms. And what does this do? What does this do? It made them
Bipedal.
bipedal. And that will give some advantages. Okay? Then, a more rounded skull and an increased cranium size. And an increased cranium size will lead to a larger
brain capacity.
brain capacity. And that in turn will lead to more sophistication. We think so. Right?
Yes.
We always say that, Looney, that the humans have the largest brain and we're supposed to be the smartest, eh? But we're not
Yes.
sure. We're not sure whether we're smarter or not. Right? I would have given an example why I have my doubts, but it's not for national
Not
TV.
in ATS.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's only for ATS, that one. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. A flatter face, you were talking about
Yes.
a flatter face. Due to why? Why do we have a flatter face? Because we have a less sloping forehead. We have less protruding jaws. That means we are decreased prognathus.
Yes.
A more developed chin. A more rounded jaw. Then we also have an increased size in the skeleton, and we have a change in dentition. All these things will have advantages. If you consult last year's paper, 2013, November, paper 1, you would find a whole explanation of the significance of this. So one, we have just spoken about the change. But the other question to this could be, now comment on the significances of this change. So each of these changes have a significance. Why do we have these things? You need to be able to say that. Look at last year's paper for more details regarding that. All right, let's go to another question now. The incomplete table represents famous scientists, the fossil they discovered, and the countries and the dates of discovery. Complete the table by writing down the number and the answer. In your book, you would be writing 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, we had to block out the numbers here, but that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first one was Australopithecus. And it was found in between 1999 and 2003. Where was it found? Anybody? I said that in my summary earlier.
I think it's in Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, good. And who found it? That one you won't know.
No, yes.
Sileshi Simao is one of the people. There are other people also that found it, and you can list them as well. But Sileshi Simao is one person that could have found it. This one here in the Awash River Valley, the fossil that was found was another Australopithecus one. And this one was found by Tim White. Good. Taung was the place of discovery. What do you think was found there?
Taung Chao.
Taung Chai, right? And who
Yes.
found it?
Raymond Tutt.
Raymond Dart. Excellent, guys. Excellent. Robert Broom, what did he find?
Mrs. Place.
Mercer's Place. And where did he find it?
Stephen
Sterfontein.
Caves.
They know that. You know why? They live not far from there. Sterfontein. And we're going to send them there to Sterfontein. Lucy was found where?
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. By who?
Donald
Donaldson and Johansson and the others. I put et al. Is the three of them there. You can write them down there. Karabo was found where?
Malapa side.
Malapa site. And by who?
Lee Becker.
Can we say Matthew Berger?
Matthew Becker, yes.
Can we say so?
No.
No.
Why not?
He wasn't regarded as scientist.
He's not regarded as a scientist. He was the son of the scientist Lee Berger.
Berger.
I put Bergers there because it was found by both of them. And who are you and I to decide who's a scientist and who's not a scientist?
Thanks for joining me and for chatting to me during the show. Please visit our website, learn.mindset.co.za, to get the notes and to watch the videos from earlier in the year. And remember, we are here to get you through the year, so stay connected. Goodbye.